Welcome back to the Red Zone channel, ladies and gentlemen, and in today's video we've got something a little bit different. Well, I say different, yes, you'll see in the title that it is actually another guide, but this is going to be my first and maybe my only masterclass guide. Why? Because it's time to bring back the Warlord in the biggest fashion I know possible by releasing a guide that literally covers everything, all game modes, all combos, you name it, everything. That's what I'm going to be planning. So this is going to be one of the longest videos I have ever uploaded, containing the most editing I have ever had to do in any one video. And the reason being is because a lot of people have called me out on my old Warlord guide, saying I missed some of the important things and so forth. So now I'm going to bring everything I know into one video, bringing the counters, bringing the combos, bringing the basics. Yes, I said it. I bloody say it all the time. The basics into this video. This guide will literally cover everything that I know about the Warlord. Hopefully it gets a rework. If it gets a rework, then I get to do the same thing again. But without further ado, onto the moveset. So we've got focus strikes, hack and slash, crashing charge, head splitter leap alternate, head splitter leap combo, board and blade, block and stab, shield counter combo, headbutt riposta, and headbutt combo, and then we've got the 4 block stance. So that is his moveset. It seems rather limited. I said this in the last video. I'm going to say it again. It is limited. So 2 that's always on every character. Superior light block attacks. This is what's got me into a lot of trouble with my last Warlord guide. Yes, I'm going to cover it in this one. Happy days. Uninterruptible heavy attacks. So in the last section, well, portion of your heavy attacks, you'll trade blows. You know, hyper armor, good shit on the Warlord. 4 block stance. This opens up some rather nice options if you use it correctly, and that is it. So a very, very limited moveset. Not much here that we could probably use to go, oh shit, yeah, Warlord, sick character, oh my god, let's play him. Well, that's what we're going to try and prove today, ladies and gentlemen. So without further ado, let's move on to the basics. So to change things up how I would normally do the basics are now going to consist of everything moveset wise before we move on to the combos that you can use with the Warlord. So as always, the Warlord has a 2 attack chain, so that's either light, heavy, or heavy into light. This can be done in any of the directions, so you can light right, heavy right, or you can light left, heavy right. I know, I cocked it up there, but we get the point. You can do it. So you can start for the heavy and go for a right light, and you know, these can be done in any of the directions, so that's pretty simple. The nice thing here is that the heavy can be fainted into another light, so for instance, smack, smack. Pretty simple stuff, we get it. There's not a lot in terms of chains that we can do with the Warlord. Next up on the basics is his headbutt. So all you need to do to instigate the headbutt is dash forward and press your guard button. But you've got to do it in a time window, because I cocked it up like an idiot. So dash forward, headbutt. So it's literally a click click. Alright, so it's click click. Done. Simple. From the headbutt you can get a guaranteed light attack, such as follows. The only person that this is not guaranteed against is Shigoki. So if he is blocking in the correct direction, he will actually block that light attack. So what I do with Shigokis is headbutt, light attack. Headbutt, light attack. The second time, it will be guaranteed because his hyper armor will be knocked off, but that's only against Shogoku. But anyway, so next up is the zone attack. So zone attack can be done by pressing your light and heavy buttons together, and that's pretty simple. Next up is the head splitter, which is dash forward heavy attack. This head splitter does have hyper armor onto it, so if you get into it, hyper armor activates when you see the white little flashy shite around your character as follows. Boom, hyper armor, sword. Hyper armor means you can't be knocked out of it, which means GG, free damage. But this can also be followed up with none other than the Warlord's signature move, a fucking headbutt. So it looks like this. Dash, heavy, guard break button, light attack. Very snazzy, but the nice thing here is that can be chained into a zone. But this is basics, not combos. So you're not gonna have to pay attention later. But that is realistically it. So for the GBs, simply top heavy. If you go for a left heavy or a right heavy, or the side heavies as they're known, you won't land them, they'll get blocked. So always go for that top heavy. Or if you're feeling really snazzy and there's a wall nearby, you just GB into a wall and then you get your side heavy. That's the way you can get it guaranteed, which means more damage, because as highlighted incorrectly in my other video, the side heavy does more damage. So what could we possibly do next? Well, ladies and gentlemen, the Warlord does have one of the most annoying moves in the game, if this little bitch would stop following me. So while you're running around like so, all you have to do is press your guard break button and you do this move. Dun 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 dun. It's the crashing charge move. Basically, if you get them in, it will put them into a wall and it will stumble them, allowing you to get that side heavy off. But if you let go of them at a certain distance, you can get a head splitter combo off. So head splitter, you get the point. But the nice thing that not many people know about with the Warlord is that this crashing charge can be feinted, yes I said it, feinted into head splitter combo. So it looks like this once I get this bitch to stay stationary. How can I do this? Opponent settings, navigation, hold position. There we go. Now, if she holds a position, which she is doing now, hold your heavy attack button, right? And you will do the head splitter, which looks as follows. Obviously, I hit the bitch. It's a very, very short window of opportunity. Very short window. So you literally need to set it off, hold your heavy attack button, lock on, and there you go. You're good to go. But obviously, get into the practice room, get that timing down properly, and you are good to go. But last thing on the basics, obviously let go a little bit sooner, and you're in for the finishing head splitter combo. So, when they are out of stamina, the max punish with the Warlord is head splitter combo. So, let's imagine this shaman's just been knocked on her ass after getting headbutted and, she's gone out for a few pints and such. It's not looking good. You'd throw her down, she's on the floor, leap in for head splitter, dumb, good to go. If they are still out of stamina, back around, run around in the circle, head round right, go over, knock them down again, head splitter combo yet again. Because the nice thing about crashing charges, if they are out of stamina and you land it, you knock them down again, so you can go back in for the head splitter combo. But obviously this will be covered in the combos section of the guide. But for me, that is it for the basics. So yes, let's cover some of the Warlord's combos and what you can possibly do with this very limited moveset. You'll be surprised as to what actually can follow. But let's move on. So now that you guys have a full understanding of what I'm about to do, this should be easy. So first combo for me is very simple. So they're there, they're holding their position, the game has just started. You run in, shield crusher into a wall, heavy, never ever, right, if you land that heavy attack on the wall, never go for that light attack afterwards. Why? Because it's parryable. That shit is parryable. And I'm telling you now, they will parry that shit, knock you down, and you're out of the game. So always end it with get them on the wall, side heavy, or head splitter combo, boom, more damage. So you're up close and personal. You don't want to headbutt spam. So what do? You light attack. That's it. That's right. You fucking light attack. What do you do after a light attack, I say? Well, you could do heavy into GB, into wall, as follows. Or one of my absolute favourite moves is light attack, heavy feint, and you rinse and you repeat. But what you need to keep in mind is that when people get used to you being a headbutt spamming son of a bitch, as people think that to know that I am, you simply headbutt and then that's it, right? They're going to get used to it. So what do? You dash forward, you get your GB, get them up against a wall, head split combo, and you just knock them down for days. But a lot of the Warlord's combos come from his light, heavy feint. So you want to land that first light attack, heavy feint, light, heavy feint, GB or headbutt. But my favourite obviously is the light, heavy feint, headbutt, light, heavy feint, headbutt. Pretty simplistic damage here, but one of the really nice ones to do or combo wise is very simple. Have your guard on the right hand side, right? Sit here, go in for a headbutt, light attack, into zone. Yes, that zone will come out as part of the chain. So, as I will do it again, headbutt, light, zone. Alright, that zone is ultra quick and it can be used very, very well. So what you can also do is heavy feint this way into zone. Looks rather nice. personally, I don't use it, but that's not the point. Realistically, it's simple. All right. Now imagine that they are rushing towards you and they're throwing out shit like they've been slapped about like a little child. What you can do is leap into head splitter, use the hyper armor, right? Heavy, feint, zone, headbutt, back away. You do not want to run out of stamina on any character. All right, especially in duels, especially in Dominion. You want to keep a very high amount of stamina, able to readjust, parry, you know, get the zone attacks off when you necessarily need them. But for me, they are my basic combos. Very limited, yes I know, but when you get used to the basics, you string your combos together on your own from the basics. Now, we'll be going over the parries, and then we'll be getting into some of the most interesting stuff on this guide. Moving on. Moving on to the parries now, you have 3 options. Parry, and do your basic light attack. So let's do that again right quickly. Parry, light attack. It's effective and it can lead into the combos mentioned beforehand. The other 2 options are as follows. So parry, and then I'm fucking up here, I'm losing control of my mind. So waiting for it to get a stamina back. Parry. Oh, what am I doing? What am I doing? Come on. Parry, GB button, light attack. It used to be a heavy attack, but since they decided to put the Warlord into the ground, it's been a bit shit. Last one for the parries is as follows. Zone attack. You have enough time to get that zone attack off. It does a lot more damage than the light attack. Come on. Really? Really? Come on. As you can see, the light attack does 13 damage. And the zone attack does 25 damage. So there is an obvious choice here of which ones you want to use, but the reason I go for the normal light attack, if you know I can do, is light, heavy, feint, headbutt, and so forth. The zone attack is a finisher. You can't go into anything rather quickly, so that's the downside. So where can you go from getting the stand punish heavy, not heavy, fucking parry? Where can you go from there? As follows. So once I've decided to stop being a tit, what am I doing in this? What am I doing? What am I doing? So, parry, light attack. You can go into heavy feint or heavy feint headbutt. Looks rather nice and it does do its job. But you're probably thinking now, he's left some out again. I swear he has. Yeah, I know I have. Full guard. Full guard will be covered in a completely different section. Why? Because that is important. It's not basic and it takes a lot of skill to use properly, but let's go over that before we get into the, as before mentioned, sexy part of this guide. Moving on yet again. Oh, I bet you superior light block fiends and thinking, Jesus Christ, he's done it again. Correction, there is actually one more parry option that is in the game for the Warlord, and that is his superior light block. All it is a guaranteed light if you do it correctly. So it's basically it's a normal parry, so you want to light in the parry window. If I can actually do it right, that would be really helpful, and it looks like so. So it's a guaranteed light attack, and it can lead into any of the before mentioned combos in the combo section. So it can lead into a heavy feint, headbutt, or or not guaranteed, or an actual heavy attack. So that is it. I don't prefer to use this over the before mentioned 3 methods. This for me is literally done by accident in Dominions or Brawls. I never actually choose to use this because it is, if you don't get the timing right, it's basically a guaranteed heavy for the opponent. So it's always best to go for any of the before mentioned parries because it leads into some sexy options. But if you do want to get the timings down, feel free to jump into the training room to do so. I personally won't bother, but that is up to you guys. So actually, let's move on as said. Ow. Now, along with everything that you guys have managed to get through so far, the last thing to do for this snippet of the guide is the Warlord's full block. It looks like that, and it blocks damage from every fucking direction, so it turns you into an absolute beast. So there are 2 options that you can do. So if you block an attack, right, you can light attack. It's not guaranteed, but you can get it off. It's ultra quick and really hard to block, or you can go for the heavy attack, which looks like so. If they heavy attack in the same direction that your heavy attack comes out with, which for the Warlord it's always the left, you will get it. If you spam that button as soon as that heavy hits the shield, you more or less will get it. It can be parried, it can be deflected, and it can be blocked. But, you know, it's always nice to just jump into it mid-combo, like so. That was not what I was going to do, but heavy, boom, or, you know, just sit down, know that you're low health, and you're thinking, nah, fuck off. Because the light leads into the heavy combo as before discussed. So, the only thing is that the full guard takes a chunk of your stamina out. I know I haven't got my stamina activated now, but there's a very good reason behind it. But it does take out a massive chunk of your stamina. So make sure you're using it just before the heavies land. And always make sure that there is the connection, because you don't want to let go of that heavy button too fast and give them the damage. And you always want to make sure that you can get the light off, lead into another light, and keep going as follows. So, hopefully, this has covered most of the basics, the combos, and the known knowledge I have for the Warlord. But the interesting thing now is going to be coming in the form of a guide on how to play in every game mode in the game. That's the 1v1s, the 2v2s, and the 4v4s. I'm not covering Tribute because I don't play it, so I'll be covering Dominion, Brawls, and Duels. Okay? So, I'm going to be having quite a bit of help from some of the well-known Warlord players in the community, fingers crossed. If not, it will be myself and some of the AG guys, some of the average gamers, some of the best players I have ever come up against, to share your knowledge. Well, not your knowledge, obviously. It's my knowledge, because some of you may think that I'm very limited, but the thing is, I probably am limited. So it's always nice to get the help of some friends to make sure you guys have the best knowledge for playing the game as the Warlord. But that's it. Let's bring it in for the game modes, bitches. Ow. So, ladies and gents, this is the 1v1 section of the Warlord guide. I'm joined by the Peckman, another one of the alphas. The reason being is that he actually plays Warlord the same amount as I do. We're both the same we're both the same level, so this is going to be beneficial for you guys. But the 1v1 section is going to be broken down in 3 parts. The first part is what to do in a normal 1v1. Second part is what to do in a mirror match. And the third part is going to be the outright fight to showcase what I'm talking about. But, so, you've just started the round and you're coming up. There's 3 ways you can open the round with the Warlord. So, first way is if you run at them, you get the bash, and usually you'll get them up against a wall opening up the side heavy. Second one is to feint it, so you're going to run at them and get the GB instead, and obviously push them to the wall. The third way to enter the fight as the Warlord is one of my favourites. It's the feint into head splitter, which obviously leads into the headbutt, leading into the start of the combo. So that's the way that I open up the rounds with the Warlord, because it's guaranteed damage if you get the wall splat, or you get the GB, or if you get the head splitter. So, I mean, in those situations, you just got to be careful of the obvious ones. Up against assassins, they're going to be dodging quite a bit, and up against decent level players, they're going to be waiting for you to get the head splitter if they know the Warlord's combo. So obviously use these at your own sort of, you know, areas of am I gonna get it or am I not. So obviously the fight is here, and obviously the key thing with the Warlord is the headbutt. You need to be using the headbutt in a 1v1 quite a bit, because you want to get your opponent out of stam ASAP. So Peck, if you just throw zones and I'll parry them, and I'll show you what I mean. Zone me, boy. Zone me. Obviously that was meant to be parried, and I'm not paying attention now, but you know, zone me one more time. Right, so after a parry, you want to follow up with a heavy, back off, and use your outer tech, your unlock tech, to obviously go in with the head splitter like so. That is going to be your most damaging move, especially in a 1v1. This is what makes Warlord top tier, that unlock tech straight in with the shield bash out of stamp. So they're the main ways you want to be playing. You want to be getting your opponent out of stamp ASAP, and you want to be going in for head splitters and your obviously unlock tech into a wall, and follow up with that side heavy. Never follow up with that secondary light attack, because as Peck's about to show you, you will get parried. So I go in that, and I go for the side light, and he's either going to block it or parry it. Most times you'll get the block, or, you know, up against seasoned players, that will actually be parried. But I'll end the round now and bring it back for, you know, the next fucking section. So, for the next tips, ladies and gents, the Warlord is a close-range harasser, so you're going to be wanting to get in and chip away. You don't want to be, dealing damaging blows from the start. So, if you're going to be using your headbutt, heavy feint into light, heavy feint into light. Another one is heavy feint into zone after a headbutt, so you want to be going like this. But you've also got to make sure that you have enough stam to follow up, because if you're out of stam as a Warlord, you're obviously opening yourself up for some big damage. Also, another nice one is heavy feint into headbutt, because they're going to be reacting to that heavy feint, not the fact that you're going for the headbutt. So, I mean, you want to be chipping away at your opponent. You don't want to be going in for those massive things, because even if they block your heavies, you're going to get the chip damage, and the chip damage is where Warlord is king in these situations. So, best way to finish a fight, if they are right next to a wall, you want to back away for a bit and end it like so. So that's how I play in the 1v1s. We'll bring it back for the mirror match, and then we'll be ending on the actual fight. Alright? So I'll see you guys in a second. So, sometimes, ladies and gents, you'll find yourself up against a mirror match, and it will quite literally end up being who can land that headbutt and, get that light attack off the fastest. So the only thing I can suggest is you'll need to dodge on reaction. So, for instance, if he dashes forward, you can't, if he dashes forward, he's going to be going in for a GB, or he'll be going in for the headbutt. So the best way to do is use your light attacks to knock them out of the headbutt ASAP. So as soon as they dodge forward, throw out a light attack. So, Peck, you need to dodge forward for me. Right, as soon as they do that, you need to react with a light attack ASAP. You need to be able to knock them out of it quicker than they can go into it. So, I mean, obviously they're going to go in for a headbutt. They're going to open themselves up quite a bit. So, if you dodge forward for a headbutt now. Dodge forward! God damn it! There you go. You can knock them out of it with that cheeky light attack. So, obviously, going into the practice room and enabling the Warlord's headbutt will obviously get your timing down for that pristinely. Second off, you need to be watching out for that closing distance. You'll either close distance with a head splitter, or you'll close his distance with the zone attack. It deals 25 guaranteed damage with no gear stats in the 1v1s, obviously. So, I mean, you want to be closing distance with that zone attack, quite simply. So, close your distance. Even if they block it, it will deal quite, a nice chunky amount of your fucking chip damage. So, obviously, once they're on low health, you can't be asked going for the execution. You can simply end it on a cheeky headbutt. We'll bring it back now for the second round to go over a few more things, and then it'll be into the fight, ladies and gents.
Round 2.
So, if you're up against another Warlord, your full block is not a viable weapon, because if you're going to sit in full block, I can headbutt you out of it and get my light attack. The only time I would react with a full block is if they go for a head splitter. So, they're going to go for a head splitter, you sit in your full block, they go for a head splitter, you get that heavy attack. As long as they do not heavy attack on the left hand side, you will most likely get it. If you want to play safe against a Warlord, simply dodge and use that headbutt to knock them down as much as possible. But you need to keep in mind that if you go out of stamina, that's it. Game over pretty much. So Peck, try and zone me out so you get out of stam. There we go. He's out of stam now. Simply jiggle around a little bit, and obviously you can get them down quite a bit by playing around with them using the unlock tech of the Warlord. So if they're out of stam like I have literally just done, don't be too greedy with your attacks, because you will pop yourself out of stam, and then that's when the other Warlord can come in with his own unlock spamming, and then that's it, it's game over. But realistically, your main offensive weapon with the Warlord in these situations is his forehead. Simply using this to go into your combos is going to be your #1 tactic to take out that Warlord, no problem. And obviously using your shield crush to enter the game, as discussed before in the other match, is the best way forward. But that's it for the 1v1 section. I'll bring it back for the actual match, and you can see how I open fights and so forth. But like I said, that's it. So, this is the actual fight. So, Peck's now going to be fighting as you normally would in a 1v1, so that obviously I can cover a few more things in detail. So, as I said before, opening up the round with your unlock tech, he's dodged it, you know, it's not going to be beneficial for myself. So if I go in for a feint and he dodges, I get the free GB, opens up with the top heavy and goes into combos. Or if I want to be a real cheeky bugger, you know, you're obviously gonna try and go in with the head splitter at the end of it. So go in with the head splitter, dodges, and I get the headbutt anyway. So even if he dodges, you know, I might get the headbutt, but you've got to keep in mind that if people are going to be dodging on reaction, they're going to dodge the headbutt and you're fucked. That's it. GB for them. But we'll go into the actual fight now and I'll cover things to do and what not to do and how to react with certain things. Obviously, he's on reaction there, so he's dodging the headbutts and going in for the stunning tap. Best thing with a Warlord is what you can do is you can react with your full guard and get that light attack off, or get the heavy if you're feeling a little bit greedy. Obviously, use your headbutt to bait in and open your opponent up. There you go. So he's reacting now off of my headbutt dodges. So landing the stunning taps, blocking in with a headbutt to close the opponent down, and use your headbutt and your heavies to feint in dodges and light parries. So now Peck's out a stam, jiggle around a little bit, he dodges, and I can now get him on the ground and end the fight if I had more stamina. So obviously stamina management is going to be a massive thing with the Warlord. On with your dodge reactions, and you know, that's it. The Warlord fights best when he's using his headbutt to get the opening attacks and also to knock them out of certain things. So if I'm quick enough for my reactions, I can actually headbutt Peck out of his stunning tap. If I wait, or if I'm feeling cheeky, go for that light parry and, you know, get in the side heavy. If you land a light parry, always go for the side heavy. So obviously going back to what we were doing before, opening up the fight, in with a head splitter, and he reacts to it. So you got to be really careful with how you open up the fights. You can always open up with a zone attack by running in to knock him out, or, you know, feel cheeky and then that's it. So there we go, using the feints to our advantage and the dodge times to get in some extra damage. Like I said, close distance with the zone, and then obviously follow up with any of the before mentioned combos. Oh, Jesus. But as you saw then, I'm getting greedy with the GBs, and Peck's now anticipating it. So obviously keeping on your toes and knowing your opponent is obviously in any situation a top tier gameplay.
Round 3.
Now, as you can see, I've learnt my lesson and I'm not entering the fight now with the openers as discussed beforehand. Using the delayed lights after a GB to get in some damage there. And I cocked up with the light attack. So I mean, you've just got to be careful of these things if they're going to be a bit cheeky. Now Peck's out a stam, and he dodges my unlock tech. Sneaky bugger. Using my hyper armor there to get the trade. Not necessarily worth it, so obviously trading with the Warlord is going to be your best sort of option for these things. So there we go, Peck went in with a feint and I answered back with the headbutt. There we go, answering back with a headbutt, using him to knock him out of, so to speak, more important things. And there you go. The Warlord's tactics need to orientate around feints into zones and light attacks. Your light attacks are where the harassing thing comes in. You can nut them down, you can use your headbutt to get the distance and obviously shut down your opponent, and that's where top tier gameplay comes in. You don't necessarily have to go for the parries. As you saw, I didn't land a single parry in that fight. Reason being is that I'm going for chip damage, I'm going for the shutdowns, I'm going for the free GBs and headbutt reaction light parries and stuff like that. I'm not necessarily landing them, but at top tier gameplay, these are really important things when it comes to the 1v1 section with the Warlord. You need to use that headbutt to get in your free GBs, your zone attacks and your light parries. Especially in, as I keep saying, in top tier gameplay, you can actually mess up your opponent using that headbutt sorely to get your GBs, your zones and your parries. if you keep that in mind and obviously jump into the practice room, as I'll always suggest, to get these timings down to a key, is where you are going to turn into a seriously badass Warlord. But that's it for the 1v1. I'll bring it back later on in the guide for the 2v2 section, and I hope you've enjoying it so far. Any suggestions, leave them in the comment section down below, and then, you know, this isn't a guide to say you need to play Warlord this way. If you feel comfortable playing it a different way, that's fine. This is just how I like to play the Warlord. But anyway, I'm babbling now. Onto the 2v2 section. So, we're going to be covering the real 2v2 section here. We're going to be going over the Warlord's more useful tactics and the stuff that you should and should not do. As you can see on screen, I am joined by a Warden. This Warden is AG Hans. I'm also joined by a Kensei and a Raider. So this is full Team Alpha at the moment. We're only missing Alpha JJ, or JJ Killer as you guys know it. But anyway, so obviously the two moves that you're going to be using regardless is this light into heavy and the headbutt. The only thing I wouldn't suggest doing is sitting down using the full guard and staying in full guard, as you will open yourself up for a GB. So I mean, I'm sitting here waiting for them to attack, and that's it. Pet goes in for a GB, Kieran finishes it with a side heavy. So I mean, full guard is good only when the opponent is switching onto you. So if Peck throws out an attack on Hans and then switches onto me for a light attack, I can simply do this and go in for a light attack or the heavy attack. So I mean, that's where Warlord is useful. The headbutt is also useful to knock off an opponent. So if Kieran goes to Hans now and goes for a GB, I can simply do this to get the save and then switch on to Peck with that heavy attack. But they're the useful things. The only thing I wouldn't suggest is throwing out your lights and heavies like mad. Because if I was to do a light attack and it landed on Kieran and switch to Peck, it lands on Kieran. Jesus! It lands on Kieran and I switch to Peck to do the heavy, it's either going to get parried or blocked. It's really slow, so it's really pointless. Best thing to do is get the light, switch to Peck, headbutt, and then obviously go into any prior combo that you feel will work. But obviously, as you've just seen, head splitter in these situations isn't a massive go-to thing, so don't do it. Now, one of the Warlord's more, you know, excitingly known moves is the shield rush. So if both the Kensei and the Raider are on the Hadouken boy, literally giving him shit, and we want to split them off to gain some distance, obviously I can come in, get Peck, and get him on a wall and get some damage in. Back off, readjust, or go into full guard if I feel necessary in order to do so. So, obviously the Warlord has a parry, so if I was to parry Peck now, if he does a heavy attack, like so, that opens up the Kensei to come in and deal some damage. So the parry, the full parry anyway, isn't something you want to go with. You literally just want to leave it at the light attack or the zone attack, because you can get the zone through the parry. So if Kieran, you just stand next to Peck really quickly for me. Peck, throw out heavy. On me, you tit. And I finish up with a zone. I'm going to deal the damage to both of the opponents if the Kensei isn't paying attention. So that is obviously the area of the parry that you want to be going for most often instead of just going for the light. But if you want to be safe, obviously go for the light attack. So, to finish up, we're going to finish up on a game, a real 2v2, to put these things into practice so you guys can see what I mean. And then we'll be moving on to the 4v4 section. But while the game is going on, Hans will be going over a few things in terms of 2v2 tactics, not only with the Warlord, but in 2v2, the real brawl section itself. Anyway, but we'll bring it back for that. So we're going to finish up now to showcase what you can do in a real 2v2. Obviously, all of us here have been in the tournaments, we've been in the real 2v2 section of the game, so we know what we're doing. So we're just going to be going through now and playing as we normally would do in a tournament. Let's go, boys. Hans is going to be talking about some do's and don'ts, if you can do. Obviously, it's going to be a bit hard to do that in-game.
Oh, I forgot a part of that. 2v2s is a lot about keeping control of the game, as well as being able to assist your teammate when they're in a pinch, for example, being GB'd. Like, right there, I just saw Red just get hit by an unblockable. I could have, in theory, hit Peck to stop the unblockable. That's something I could have done. Obviously, that's hindsight. It doesn't help. But there's a lot of stuff in 2v2s you can do. Like, let's say your teammate gets guard broken. Well, let's say the Warlord's in 4 block and he gets guard broken. I can get a free light out of that, stopping the damage he would have normally taken. So guard breaks aren't as free as people would think they are. That's one of the things you need to do on him down like a minimum. You don't want to do that. That's something you shouldn't do. Switching a lot, especially with characters of high prom, for example, Kensei, is really great due to the fact you'll be able to get damage on one person and also particularly save your teammate at the same time. As you just saw, Red just got a palm strike by a Kensei, and I did just interrupt them. The damage he could have dealt that round he could have got. That's the in real 2v2s, as well as that zone. That resulted in me to get the kill though. So, excuse me. Now,
Whoa!
this is also. Oh, wow,
God damn!
Ooh, you just got this. You just got destroyed. I would have emphasized. I would have emphasized something else as well. Brawls aren't always about 2v2s. It can be 1v2s as well. 1v2s will be a struggle. And in tournaments, it's the worst due to the fact there is no revenge. But in, your average game of Brawl, I would recommend waiting for revenge and just using it at the time is right, when time is right. But the 2v1 is art in itself. There's things you can do to disable characters. For example, as a Warlord, you can do the shield rush. It gets a wall spot if you're near a wall, as well as just disables them from doing anything back to you. A Raider Stampede charge, which I just took right there, is also another one. There's many other things like the Raider Headbutt, the Palmer Strike from the Kensei, can disable a character for a short period of time, allowing you to get free damage. Oh, damn. Ah, you got me. You're on your own.
So, as you can see now, Peck and Randy are obviously top class players. So, I mean, you're seeing me do what I can with the Warlord. It's not much. In a real 2v2 situation, the Warlord does actually struggle to do, massive damage. You've got to play the tank meta. You've got to make sure you can disable your opponents. You're not there to do the damage. You're there to get in the free attacks for your teammate. That's how Warlord should be played. So as you can see now, I'm tanking out the damage, allowing hands to come in and deal the majority of the damage, that is. So you can see, I'm using my headbutt to disable the opponents, make sure they can't throw out attacks. Then obviously here, it's going to be a matter of get the headbutt, and then that's it. So in these situations, Warlord is done well. So if you can get them close together, when you're with your when you're with your teammate, you can actually save your teammate from a lot of damage. So the Warlord for me, in any situation when it involves ganking or whatnot, you are a supportive tank. You're not a massive damage dealer. It can be done, but obviously you've not got a lot in your moveset that actually solicitates the fact that you can actually throw out a lot of damage. So here I'm being saved. And then I'm throwing out damage, keeping the opponents at bay, and obviously tanking where possible. Obviously, Peck's using his unlock. This is a little bit of a different one because obviously you have to make sure that you're on point. Saw the attack switch coming in, and then that's it, it's over. So again, using the full block as and when needed is important. Going in for the headbutt, and then obviously going to try and come in to deal the damage. That was a fuck up on my end, but that's the point we're trying to get across here. Real 2v2s, regardless of what character you're playing, is a teamwork-based it's team-based, that's it. Like, I know this is a Warlord guide, but realistically, this part covers everything. So you can see that Peck and Kieran are bouncing off each other. We're bouncing off of the supportive meta that we've got at the moment. Then the headbutt's obviously going to be opening up some damage here. But we're going to be bringing it back for the 4v4 section, and as always, any suggestions, pop them down in the comment section down below. I'm more than happy to get back to everybody. Alright guys, so obviously this is the 4v4 section for the guide. I'm not going to be going over some gameplay. It's more of how I play Warlord in the 4v4s. So for me, basically, boosting points and staying on the points is a major thing. So obviously you're going to be capping C first, and you're going to be moving into playing B or C. Usually I would run past and try and back cap on C. Reason being is because I'm going to be holding down C for as long as humanly possible to get the points in. It doesn't matter if I get kills during the game. What matters is the points that I gain for the team. So now that I'm, hunkered down on C,
You capture.
That's capped. There's two options now. As the entire enemy team is down on B, I'm going to go down and help out my teammates. But first, obviously, the Lordbringer's coming, so I'm going to go back up to C and hold down C. From here, obviously, you're going to be using the combos you've learned throughout the rest of the guide to dispatch of newbie.
You lost zone A.
There we go. Be cheeky. No fam. Finish off with that headbutt. And obviously, you're going to be sitting here hunkering down as much as humanly possible.
You capture zone A. Oh, no, man.
So you get the point. The Warlord is a supportive player. So he's anti-gank material type thing. So you can use him to be an anti-gank tank. And obviously you're going to hold down your own as much as humanly possible. So teammates come in there to try and help me out. And obviously I've held down C and we've got a major point lead. That's beneficial. Because while they're focusing on me being an annoying Warlord, then, you know, you're getting the points in. This can be done on any character, but because the Warlord excels at tanking, obviously this is where the Warlord shines in the 4v4s. Using that zone to dispatch of both and deal out some damage for both. Obviously I'm falling for silly things here, but we get the point. I'm not the best Warlord, but I do know what I'm doing. But that actually closes up the guide for today's video. Or, you know, you'll be watching this hopefully over the next couple of weeks. Lol. A lot of time and effort has gone into this video, so I would really appreciate it if you were to leave a like and a comment as to what you thought. If you want to see more guides like this for other characters, then simply let me know. But that's been it. This is the Warlord Guide, the Masterclass Warlord Guide, and I hope you guys have enjoyed. As always, it's been the Red Dawn, ladies and gents, and I will see you guys in a bit.